Jumbo Scampi for limited.
All for a price that will make you.
How the hell am I supposed to pee?
You're listening to BAMF, UK Comic Book Radio.
Hello everyone, welcome to BAMF Comic Book Radio. I am the King of Westeros, Bertie Kempson, and with me today are my council. I've got my hand, Lucas Maxted. Say hello, sir.
Howdy.
I've got my Lady of Coin, Fee. Say hello, Lady Fee.
Hello, hello.
And I've got my Lady General Sarah. Say hello, Lady General Sarah.
Hello.
Sir Neville isn't with us today. As my Keeper of Secrets, he's currently scouring the world for secrets, both dirty and dark, to bring back to me. So there's just four of us. It's a power team. And today we're going to go straight into it because we've got a lot of news. We're going to go straight into the news, and I'm going to open it with the properly shut down this time, of Dandy Comics. The comic that started in 1937 on December 4th has finally gone. No more. It did last year on December 4th, stop physical comics. It stopped completely, but carried on online. But as of June 26th, that's the official kind of mark, but it has gone. There's no more Dandy online or physical. I never read Dandy, but I do know lots of people that have, both Beano and Dandy. It's sort of sad because it was the longest running British comic. But at the same time, as I said, I didn't read it, so for me it has no emotional attachment. Don't know if any of you three ever read Dandy or Beano.
Yeah, I used to read them as a kid, or my brother used to read them, and then I guess I used to read them as well. So we're all, familiar with characters like Desperate Dan and stuff like that. So it's really sad to see that it's gone. But I don't know if it's a sign of the times or what. I'm not sure, but
probably is a sign of the times, I think.
Yeah, but it is very sad because it was a British institution. It is going to continue in annual format. I did read on one of the artists said on their Facebook page that it is going to continue in annual format. So you won't get a weekly comic anymore, but you will still be able to buy the annual at the end of the year. So.
Oh, that's a tiny consolation to completely go in. Yeah, sad news there. Fingers crossed it might come back, may not, we never know. But also I've got some more news. This time it's focusing on Marvel. This week we got the news that Disney has finally purchased all distribution rights back from Paramount. So now, instead of DVDs and the cinema releases going through Paramount, it's all going to be Disney handled. This is the next step in Disney fully establishing themselves as the guardian of Marvel cinema. We saw little bits in the Avengers and Captain America that they had hands in, like the music and some of the production. But this is actually their distribution, which is better for Marvel because it saves them brokering deals with Paramount, which obviously saves them some money for some better projects, some more risky projects, and it also means that their films will get out more. Think of how far and wide a Pixar movie will go. Something with like a big budget, that's how far a Marvel movie will go. And we'll also get nice box sets and Blu-rays and beautiful stuff, rather than just here's a Blu-ray, here's a DVD, see you later. We might actually get some really nice and luscious box set of everything Marvel, the Marvel saga. But apart from that, no real ramifications or effects, just distribution wise. Fingers crossed they're going to start purchasing some of their characters back and rights to characters, because I want to see Avengers and X-Men and Spider-Man team up. But yeah, that is my segment of news. Sarah, what have you got for us?
We've got there's going to be a prequel to The Sandman released, October 2013, later on this year. Obviously Neil Gaiman will be writing it. J.H. Williams III is going to be on art, which means it is going to look absolutely beautiful. It's going to be about Morpheus, the Lord of Dreams in the series, and cover about how he came to be trapped at the start of issue number 1 I have read a bit of Sandman, not a huge amount, but I have. It's the bits I've seen. It's the sort of comic which I think people give to others to try and show them that comics can now become adult and mature and are not just this silly superhero stuff, or not just for kids anymore. So it's really good news. I think that this is we're going to see something coming out from October. It's going to be published every 2 months, so the 6 issues you're going to have to wait a year to get them all. I'm not sure about why that decision was made, but good news nonetheless. So that's my news. Fee, have you got news?
I have indeed. A couple of things. First one, just a small thing, but it's definitely worth mentioning, is that Comixology, at the beginning of the week last week, have introduced subscriptions and bundles. So they've added 2 new ways to the app and to the website for you to enjoy your comic purchasing. So subscriptions will let everybody subscribe to their favourite series so that they won't ever miss any issues. And bundles will allow fans to buy curated collections. So it might be an entire series or a multi-issue event, and it will all be they will all have sort of big discounts. And you just have to click on one button and you pay one price and then you get the entire collection. So I think that's really good news. It would definitely make things easier for people when they're trying to buy, collected things. And also sometimes, when with the subscriptions where you don't have to remember every week to log on and going to download your favourite series, it will just do it for you automatically. So just a little thing, but quite a good thing, I think. And then that leads us on to the next thing, which is the big news of the week. This week saw the Image Expo happening. So just as a precursor to SDCC, which is coming up in the next week or 2, Image have announced what's coming up for them in the next year or so. And wow, this was a really big announcement. They announced a lot of things. So they've announced a ton of new series with loads of creators, all big names. Interestingly, most of them are creators who are currently working for Marvel, although there are a couple of others in there as well. So I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of some of the big series that have been announced. So we've got J. Michael Straczynski has announced a title called Alone. And he's also announced that a couple of his other creator-owned projects are actually going to be coming over to Image. I think it was Lost Souls and Dream Police were the 2 books that were coming over. So that's his. We've also got Rick Remender's Black Science, which I think was something that he'd announced prior to the expo, but we found out a little bit more information about it at the expo. And we've got Darren Aronofsky, who many people will probably know best as a film director. He directed Black Swan, and he's announced a project called Noah. And then we have Matt Fraction has announced something called Odyssey, but it's spelled ODY -C, and this is based on Homer's Odyssey. It sounds really interesting. And Jason Aaron has announced something called Southern Bastards, which I think he said that he was quite looking forward to this because he can't swear at Marvel, but he can swear like a trooper in this one. So that sounds quite cool. I think they billed it as the Untouchables versus Boss Hog. I'm not exactly sure what Boss Hog is. Does anybody know? No? No idea. No. Sorry, Sarah, what did you say?
Well, it sounds something. Is this got something to do with Sonic Youth at all? I don't know. It's just a vague link in my mind, but I could be making it up.
Yeah, I have no idea. Again, maybe our dear listeners could tell us if they know. And then we have Ed Brubaker and Steve Epting, who were the team that brought us the pretty amazing Captain America run back in 2005, reuniting for a project called Velvet. And that one sounds pretty cool as well. And the final thing, which is kind of one of the big things, I suppose, is Mark Miller has announced a project called MPH, and he's described it as an effort to build a shared superhero universe for Image Comics. So he actually said that if you could call Jupiter's Legacy Watchmen, then MPH is akin to him creating his own 21st century Marvel universe. I've seen a lot of criticism from people on Twitter about this. People sort of saying that Miller's maybe, getting a little bit too big for his boots. And we're not sure whether we really want this or not. I don't know what you guys think about this, but
how does it work? Are they taking pre-existing characters and putting them in, or is it literally everything Miller makes is going to be a shared universe? So will we get Invincible and Spawn? Yeah,
I'm really not sure. I don't know any further details than that, other than that. I think he said it was MPH was going to be as crucial to Image as Fantastic Four was for Marvel.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But to sort of go on some of the announcements, I really look forward to Brubaker and Epstein's Velvet. I heard it was 8 years in the making, like developing.
Yeah.
Which is really kind of exciting, thinking that 8 years ago is when Brubaker came out with the first Captain America stuff, and it was really exciting and really we had a buzz to it. So anything from that era of his mind, wicked. And also Rick Remender's Deadly Science. Really look forward to this because he's said it was like a spiritual sequel to Fear Agent. And if anyone's read Fear Agent, it's kind of like a love letter to the Silver Age and like weird science and stuff. Really bloody good. If anyone can do weird science, it's Rick Remender. So I'd recommend keeping an eye out on that. Yeah. Massive news. I remember I was going through Twitter as every announcement was coming. People just retweeting through their ears. It was mental.
Yeah.
Just everyone was just didn't know what to say except for just retweets. There was no snark to it. Everyone was like, "This is mental." And it also looks like the end of. Do you know Marvel's Icon publishing? It looks like that is gone. The only books I can think that are coming through Icon are Powers and Kick-Ass. But everyone else, Marvel normally do a thing where if you're exclusive to Marvel, you can go through with your creator owned, you can use Icon, and you still own the rights, but Marvel will basically just publishing your book. Everyone has now skipped that and just gone straight to Image. I'm not sure why. Maybe you get more rights to your work, but see you later Icon is all I can say there. No one cares.
And the other thing that they've announced at the end of all of that, which is, this is something I think is pretty exciting. They've announced that when you purchase the comic, you will get a digital DRM-free copy, so a PDF or a CBZ file, CBR file, or whatever, because they believe that once you've bought it, you own it, which is something that a lot of people have been clamouring for a really long time. So, and they're the first people to do it. They've just gone out there and said, you know what? If you're going to pay your money and you're going to get it, we're going to give it to you so that you can do whatever you want with it. You can put it on any device that you want. You can, as many times as you want. You can move it from one device to another, whatever that may be. It's yours. Do what you want with it. And I think that's a really exciting and brave thing for them to do.
Extremely.
Yeah.
So now we're going to go right into what we've been reading this week. I'm going to start off. I've got a couple bits to talk about. But the first ones I want to talk about is Valiant Comics. I've been doing a rundown of catch up more like of what they've been doing. And man alive, they're really, I don't know why I've not jumped on this. For those who don't know, Valiant Comics are back. They went out of business, I think, in the late 90s. And they made a return last year with a few titles, not a lot. They never came out with a lot. Exo Man of War, Bloodshot, Archer and Armstrong, and slowly been building it up. So this month, Quantum and Woody have been released. My favourite at the moment is Archer and Armstrong. It's a funny buddy cop, odd couple story. The premise is that this kid with photographic reflexes has been raised by this cult almost of religious do-gooders. Well, that's what they're going as, religious do-gooders, doing things in the name of the Lord, and they raise him as an assassin to kill an immortal being who's been around for 10,000 years, so they can get their hands on this device that will wipe out or heal anything they want. And the two end up getting thrown together, events ensue which make them buddies, but they're not. It's actually like a really strange thing, because you've got this immortal atheist and this kind of blinded Christian. The book at times goes into the sort of religious bashing, which is a bit too like, alright, I can see where you're going, but at times as well it does go, look, you can have your own opinions, but this is what we're doing. Hilarious. Fred Van Lent is writing it. He's hilarious. If you read anything from his Hercules to his Alpha Flight and stuff, you know he's got really good humour to him. And the art is beautiful. I can't actually find the artist's name at the minute, because the copy I've got is right hidden somewhere. Wait, I've got it. Yeah, I can't pronounce that. Anyone that can find it and pronounce it, you try that. I'm going to try it. Emanuela Lappuccino, maybe. I hope that's right. Really bloody funny stuff. Really good stuff. And I also love that there's actually a thing, like a running joke, where the assassin doesn't swear, because he's like really religious and doesn't swear. So someone is found out to be a liar, and instead of effing and blinding, he just shouts, "Liar, liar, pants on fire." And when he's had enough of something, he goes, flip this, I'm flipping off. And he'd be like, flip you, man. And it's just ridiculous stuff. And Jiminy Cricket, instead of other profanities that shouldn't be said. But yeah, definitely check that out. Also, real quick, Exo Man of War, the premise there is really, really interesting. A Roman era barbarian is taken from Earth to work on a ship as a slave, from these alien race called Divine. But something happens where he's actually been gone for thousands of years, comes back to Earth, escapes, steals his suit, the Exo Man of War armor, steals the suit, and he's in modern day. And he's basically declared war on these aliens for taking him away, kidnapping his wife and all this. But the aliens have also implanted plantlings, hybrid human vine, on the Earth. So the world is sort of seeded with these aliens, who are all going against him. It's such a strange idea, but it really, really works. I love ideas that like Man Out of Time or Someone Out of Their Place, and this really does that. This massive barbarian man in a techno suit who's learning the new world and learning that he's on his own. Really well done. 2 favourites at the moment. I've got another one, but that's a mystery comic I don't want to talk about just yet. But yeah, that's mine. I'm going to let someone else speak, because I've been speaking for a while now. Fee?
Okay, I'm going to start with Superior Foes of Spider-Man #1, which came out this week, which is by Nick Spencer, and art. The art is by Steve Lieber. Now, if, like me, you were going to skip this book because you were wondering how interesting a book focusing on obscure Spidey villains could actually be, then you would be seriously missing out, because this book was actually brilliant. It was really, really, really good, and it wasn't what I was expecting at all. So the book focuses on the new Sinister Six. So we've got Boomerang, Shocker, Overdrive, Speed Demon, and a female Beetle. So that's actually only 5 characters, but they do actually make a joke about that in the book, that, you know, they might be the new Sinister Six, but there's actually only 5 of them. And they're all villains who share the Superior Spider-Man as their nemesis. And the issue is told from the point of view of Fred Myers, who's Boomerang. As he says, somewhere towards the beginning of the book, he says Spider-Man's the only one anybody ever talks about. So nobody really knows anything much about the villains other than the fact that they show up and then they have some kind of big fight, and Spider-Man always wins, and they always lose. We learn how and why Fred became Boomerang, and we see that he's not actually very good at being a villain, really, because he's always getting caught by Spidey and thrown in jail and stuff. And the actual story focuses on Shocker and Speed Demon. Well, at the beginning of it focuses on Shocker and Speed Demon visiting Fred in jail. And he asked them to go and feed his bird, to which they reluctantly agreed to go and do this, before going off to rob a pet store to actually get the bird feed. And then when they arrive at Boomerang's apartment, they find Hammerhead is there, and it turns out that the bird feed actually had diamonds in it, which was why they'd been sent to go and pick it up. And Fred had actually duped Shocker and Speed Demon into doing his dirty work for him. He then tells them that he's got a job for them to do. And then we cut to Beetle, who's robbing a comic book store, very meta, and to try and get Fred's bail money, Boomerang's bail money. And then we cut to Fred visiting Hammerhead in jail. And then it turns out that Hammerhead was Chameleon all along. So this is a little bit where I got a bit confused, because didn't Chameleon wasn't he broken out of jail in Secret Avengers a couple of weeks ago? I think he was. Anyway, never mind. It turns out that Fred is actually working for the Chameleon. So now so are all of the others. They're actually all in effect working for Chameleon, but the only one who actually knows it is Boomerang. Anyway, what I really, really liked about this book is it sort of like has echoes of Hawkeye in it a little bit. That kind of whole thing of seeing the villains out of costume and what happens to them when they're not in a smackdown with superheroes. It's very funny. It's very humorous. The art by Steve Liebert, who we've seen before. He drew half of the Hawkeye 7, which was the Sandy issue. He drew Clint's side of the story in that issue, and it's full of humour, and it's really, really nice. I've got to say as well, panel of the week on page 3 of this comic, where Boomerang gets visited by the people who sort of like set him up to become Boomerang in the first place, and he asks like, "Oh, is this some kind of sex thing?"
Yeah, I like that scene.
Yeah, to which they reply, "Well, why would this be a sex thing?" But it was a really nice sort of like two panel thing. And yeah, there's just so much humour in it. Where they rob the pet store, and they steal a dog off of a little girl in the pet store, to when Shocker and Speed Demon confront Hammerhead in Boomerang's flat, and Speed Demon runs away, leaving Shocker just to get beaten up. Couple of middle fingers, which made me sort of think, I think Bert, you mentioned last week, DC seems to be having a middle finger moment. Marvel seems to have jumped in on the action. And we've got Shocker giving Speed Demon the middle finger with a nice censored panel over it. And then another hand gesture, which I'm assuming is a middle finger, happens later on, and they've used the Comic Code Authority symbol to cover it up, which is really nice, just a funny little touch. And then the end, where you've got Boomerang summarising, and he says that he's going to win one day, but it just won't be today. And then you see him getting punched in the face by a fellow prisoner. But yeah, it's a really great book. I enjoyed it a lot, and I can't wait to see where this is going. Actually, it's really, really fun, really good fun. So you read it, did you, Bertie?
I did. I'll tell you how quick. I really liked, there was 2 scenes where the group were together and there was either a word bubble or a thought bubble with just one symbol inside to show you what they're thinking or doing. So one scene, one of them's asleep, so it's a Z, one of them's trying to lay out the plan, so it's a dollar bill sign. One is in love with Beetle, so it's a heart. Beetle's on the social media, so it's either a bird or a thumbs up. And Overdrive, the driver, everything he thinks of is just a car. It's always just a car, or a car driving over a mountain. It's like the most simple thoughts in the world, and he's got a big smile on his face of just, yeah, cars. Which made me laugh a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good. It's really, really good fun. But, you know, I think a lot of people sort of may have looked at that and thought, oh, you know, B-list, Spidey villains, whatever, I'm not really interested, and sort of might have decided to skip it. But really, you really are doing yourself a disservice if you do, because it's really great. Really great. Okay, so and the other thing that I read this week was X-Men Legacy issue 13 by Cy Spurrier. So we see David Haller, or otherwise known as Legion, who's now, as of the last couple of issues, a little bit more in control of his mind than he has been for a while. And this issue sees David visiting the UK, where he's invited some British mutants along to discuss something. And we see Chamber, Psylocke, Pixie, amongst others, and Pete Wisdom is there, who's tracking Legion and is trying to find out what he's up to. And everybody's deeply suspicious about Legion's motives, because he's Legion, really. So nobody can really trust him as far as they can throw him. This is a really nice issue. I had started reading the first issue when it came out, and I thought it was alright, and then I kind of dropped it just because I've got so many other things on the go. And then when I heard that this issue was coming up and it was focusing on some of the British characters and stuff, some of whom I really like Pete Wisdom, then I wanted to go back and catch up before I read this issue, and I'm glad I did, because it is a really, really good series. I've been enjoying it. I've enjoyed it a lot. And I really enjoyed this issue. I liked seeing Pete Wisdom, and some of the other characters as well. There's lots of very British dialogue. We've been talking about that a couple of times on the show recently, about how some writers can do it really well and some writers can't. Cy Spurrier is British, and I think you can tell really when you read this issue. There's a lot of very British sayings and words. I was very surprised that right at the beginning they actually got away with using the word wankers, and it actually didn't get blacked out. I was quite surprised to see this, and I was thinking, surely the only reason this could have been left in is because the American editors surely have no real idea of what this means. Yeah,
I was about to say that maybe they just don't know what it means. Yeah,
or maybe it's just a case that it's just, they know it's a British swear word, but because they don't really hear it very often, it doesn't actually sound that rude to them. But I actually met Cy Spurrier yesterday at LFCC, and I did ask him how he got away with that, and he said he wasn't quite sure. But he's sort of, he actually said that he was pretty sure that they do know what it means. So he wasn't quite sure how it did get in there. But anyway, it slipped by, and I'm kind of glad it did, because it was it made me laugh anyway.
Maybe they think most American readers won't know what it means, so that's why it stays in. And
yeah,
readership in the UK, but it's fine, and we like that sort of thing.
Sure, yeah. So that was nice to see. And there's lots of other sort of like very British phrases and stuff in there, like bleeding out and that kind of thing. What I think Cy Spurrier does really well with the dialogue is he actually writes it in a way where, for me, to my ears anyway, because I'm British, is I can actually pick up Pete Wisdom's accent really easily. So like, he sounds a little bit like Bertie. So he's like a bit sort of geezer, but I could pick that up really well from the way the dialogue's written. So it is really well done. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. If you haven't been reading the series, then I really recommend it. It's or even if you haven't, I'd say probably issue 13 is a pretty good jumping on point, actually. So yeah, check it out.
So this week I've been reading a lot of Batgirl, the Barbara Gordon version of Batgirl, and the pre-New 52 version of Batgirl. A couple of weeks ago, DC re-released Batgirl and Robin Year 1. Now both of these trades were done might have been 8 years ago or so, maybe a bit more, I think. And the Batgirl one certainly was released and then quite quickly went out of print. Now I had been able to read it when it came out, and I'd always really, really, really enjoyed the story. But because it's out of print and it's very popular, it was always about 60, 80 quid on Amazon or eBay or somewhere, so I didn't buy it. So when DC announced that they were publishing it again alongside the Robin Year one, which is Dick Grayson Robin, I was really happy, get to read it. Not quite so happy I had to read a lot of Dick Grayson in it, because he's really not my favourite, mostly because of his silly costume and the silly short pants thing and the pixie boots. But when I did get it through, I was quite pleasantly surprised reading it, I actually don't mind Dick Grayson as Robin now. He seems to have a bit of a personality. I still have difficulty getting past the silly little pants and the silly costume, but I felt like the story gave me a bit more of an insight into him as a child that I've never ever been interested in reading or finding out about before. It's quite violent in places, which I didn't expect, because I had the idea that it was I thought it was going to be something like the 60s TV show, to be honest, but it's not. There's some quite nasty bits in it. I still don't like Batman, after having read this. I still think he's an asshole, and he just treats anyone he works with absolutely horribly. But I did end up quite enjoying reading that Dick, so that was quite good. The Batgirl Year 1 is just as good as I remember. Barbara is just brilliant. I have been a fan of her as Oracle for a really long time, but not so much of her as Batgirl. But this trade just shows, I think, all her good qualities, and shows why she's a good character. She's so courageous. She's got such a love for life that I think the rest of the Bat family don't always have, or it's not always shown, especially if they're anywhere near Batman, because to my mind he just brings everyone down and makes everybody seem really miserable. But I don't like, obviously you might have guessed, I don't like Batman, so I do have I do go in with a negative view of him. But it's also got in there, so it's the first year how she put on the costume, first villain she fought. There's a bit of a team up she got with Black Canary, and there's a bit of Black Canary and Green Arrow scenes in there, a couple of them flirting. I do have a major soft spot for those two. I will try and read most stuff that's got Oliver Queen in it and got Dinah in it. So that I think was just like the icing on the cake of what was a really, really, really good story. After that, I decided I was going to go and read The Killing Joke, because I haven't read that in several years either. Last time I read it, I don't think I minded it that much. This time it seemed really, really, really weird. It's the one where Alan Moore wrote it, and it's the one where Barbara gets shot in the spine by the Joker and ends up in a wheelchair, and then later on that sort of helped propel her to become Oracle. But it's got some really strange... There's a lot of stuff that's really quite sexual about it, with the Joker shooting Barbara, taking photos of her naked body, kidnapping her dad, stripping her dad naked, having him being led around on a dog collar, and then making him look at the pictures of his shot, broken, traumatised daughter. It's just weird. I'm not used to... I wasn't really aware that the Joker had a sort of sexual bent like that, and it just comes across really icky, basically. It looks like the storytellers are trying to be really, really edgy, and that probably is what they were doing at the time, because I mean, it does come out, it's quite old now, but it's not particularly a pleasant read. All the stuff about the madness and what, I know that's a Joker thing, but the stuff where Joker's talking about whether he's the difference between being madness and sanity, and if not everybody is a little bit mad inside, all that, it's trying so hard. And just finishing reading it just left a really, really bad taste in my mouth. I know a lot of people do think it's really, really great. I can't quite work out why. And I mean, I'm not coming from the position of that there's a lot of sexism, a lot of misogyny around Barbara getting shot. And that's not even what I'm concerned about at the moment. It's just the whole thing, it's a really strange story. Not one of Alan Moore's best. I would far prefer to read any of his other stuff. So yeah, that was a bit surprised. So to cleanse my palate from that, I then went and read the Oracle Year 1 story, which was published in the Batman Chronicles number 5 in 1996. And it was, I'm just checking, it was written by John Ostrander and Kim Yale. And that's, Oracle Year 1, it's the story of how Barbara decided that she was going to not let the fact that she was now a wheelchair user sort of keep her back. She was going to go learn how to defend herself, she's going to move on with her life, and she's still going to use the skills that she learned as Batgirl, or the librarian skills, presumably a congresswoman skills, as presumably that was in continuity at that point, I can't quite remember, and set up sort of the information queen of the DC universe. And that again, similar to Batgirl Year 1, it's got all the right elements of the character in there. It makes it's not as much fun as Batgirl Year 1, because there's an innocence to the Batgirl Year 1 that Oracle Year 1 doesn't have, because of where Barbara is in her life. but she's got all the determination, she's got the intelligence, she's just got this quality about her that makes you want to read more. And it was it's certainly a hell of a lot better than Killing Joke, and is the start of her. And I really loved her career as Oracle. I thought she was great. When she was running Birds of Prey, that was just really good series. I did prefer it when Chuck Dixon was writing it, but really, really good. If you like Batgirl, if you want to find more about Barbara Gordon, I would Batgirl Year 1 and the Oracle Year 1 are really good places to start. And I mean, there's lots of other fun stuff as well, but read those. They're great. Lucas, do you want to go up next?
Yeah. Well, this week I've been catching up on some of Deadpool, because I've been reading loads and loads of other stuff. I kind of completely forgot about picking up Deadpool, so I picked up the last 3 or 4 issues or so, which is kind of this arc that came out of nowhere. It's this demon guy called Vetis contracted Deadpool a while ago to get Iron Man to start drinking again. So Deadpool, pardon?
I said why, but
not sure why. Just this demon said you need to get Iron Man to start drinking again. So Deadpool tracks down Iron Man, but feels really, really guilty about getting Iron Man to drink again. So he finds a way around the contract and gets in the Iron Man suit himself after knocking out Tony Stark, and starts drinking beer in the Iron Man suit, flying around, and saves a bunch of people from a nuclear meltdown, and says, there you go, I got Iron Man to drink again. And so Vetis gets taken by Mephisto, and Deadpool thinks it's all cool. So a few years back, into the future, Vetis shows up again, and blackmails Deadpool into helping him kill a bunch of people who sold their souls for powers. So that ranges from a guy who's basically Luke Cage, to Aquaman wannabe, who's like a full-on Aquaman rip-off, but they really take the mick out of it.
Oh.
He saves Deadpool with dolphins and sharks, and then Deadpool tries to kill him again, and realizes that drowning him's not working, and then takes him out onto the beach and murders him brutally. But so in the latest issues, he had a run-in with a Superior Spider-Man, who I'm sure Fee loves. Gets beaten up by Spider-Man, kills another one of these guys he's been contracted to kill. In issue 11, there's a shape changer, Mystique, basically, who's masquerading as Luke Cage. And there's a very awkward scene where he's trying to sleep with Jessica Jones. It is Jessica Jones. I am right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And that doesn't go so well. So Deadpool's tracking him through the street, and he keeps changing between different Avengers and heroes. So he changes to Black Widow, and he pounces on her, and Deadpool's like, yeah, finally, I've got you. And Daredevil shows up out of nowhere, and Black Widow says, Deadpool's trying to kill me. So it's just, the next few, pages, it's just Deadpool getting smacked all over the place by Daredevil. God, I keep getting Daredevil and Deadpool mixed up. So, Deadpool finally manages to escape by shooting a civilian and giving Daredevil an option. Either you chase me or you get that civilian to a hospital, so I'll see you later. Tracks down this person, kills them, and Vetis shows up again. And it's like, great, now I've got enough power to take on Mephisto. Thank you, Deadpool. Now I'm going to kill you. And so issue 12 is just Deadpool fighting a demon with his usual kind of a witty, quote marks, witty humour. My problem with this current Deadpool series is it's all kind of gone a bit stale now. The jokes aren't funny. They're just kind of going for the whole out there Deadpool. And after recently playing the Deadpool game, which I won't go too much into, it's just not funny anymore. There's nothing funny about it. It's just writers finding new ways to get Deadpool into situations where he loses arms or has to break his fingers or something like that. The best issue by far was the Superior Spider-Man issue, which was just called The Inferior Deadpool.
Yeah, was that 10, was it?
Yeah, issue 10.
Yeah.
It was great just to see Spider-Man. Yeah, it was just Spider-Man calling Deadpool knave, and it was great, especially when Deadpool stole his web shooters. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah. It was
I never thought I'd see the day where Lucas would be broken over Deadpool. There was a time where Lucas loved Deadpool. And would laugh.
Really did, but it's just not funny anymore. I read it and I'm like, okay, that's supposed to be a joke. Normally I would laugh at that, but it's kind of like the same style of joke that you've read over the past 10 issues. The best thing about it, though, is just catching a glimpse of Deadpool's more human side, because he has a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent stuck inside of his head who died during the Dead President's arc, and she was her consciousness was trapped inside of his head. And there's this nice scene with Deadpool trying to do nice for her. There's something nice for her where he takes her to her family, but because she's still inside his head, they all think that Deadpool's just tied them up and is, going to kill them. But he manages to convince them that she's inside of him, and she talks through him, and it's just a nice scene to see Deadpool doing something nice that isn't, I'm breaking my legs and throwing up bullets or whatever like that. But other than that, the other thing I've been reading really this week was Bendis' New Avengers, kind of at the start of the New Avengers after the whole Scarlet Witch goes bonkers and kills a bunch of people thing. Which is really good. I'm really liking the old Bendis stuff, especially after not liking Age of Ultron. And really, really enjoyed it. It's basically after the whole thing, the New Avengers are put together when Electro busts out a bunch of superpowered criminals from the Raft, which is S.H.I.E.L.D.'s smart idea of grouping loads and loads of the world's most powerful supervillains in one place. So these guys, by fate, end up gathering at this one place to fight these super criminals, and Tony Stark and Captain America, they sit down and they're like, we need to put together a new team. So they put together these New Avengers. And to be honest, I was reading the whole thing just for Spider-Man's one-liners every 5 seconds. There's so many good bits from him and Spider-Woman talking about how his name, like how she stole his name and how he's not seeing any money for it. And there's this really good bit in the Savage Land where they all end up naked and tied up. And Spider-Woman says, why couldn't they just leave us with our underwear on? And then Spider-Man turns to her and just says, you wear underwear? And she's like, don't you? And he's like, no, I chafe. And she's like, right, I want off the team. But like every bit with Spider-Man, they're trying to find out who broke the prisoners out of the raft, and there's just a blurry image of Electro. And Spider-Man, he instantly points out who it is. He's like, yep, I know that blurry shoulder anywhere. So Spider-Man, in this anyway, is witty banter done properly.
Yeah, I love that series. I love it. And in fact, I think I've probably read it about 3 times in its entirety from the beginning to the end. I love it. You've got whereabouts are you up to, Lucas?
Well, I finished it. It just ended. It just ended with the Sentry kind of regaining control of himself, and everybody kind of going, "Okay, Sentry, you're on the team," and they fight some Kree warriors.
Oh god, yeah, I did forget about that bit. Yeah. It does. It starts off really strong, and then meanders a little bit. But yeah, I completely agree with you. The characterization of characters like Spidey and Spider-Woman and stuff are so strong from Bendis in those early issues. Love them.
Yeah, it's just like there's another bit which I don't want to kind of go into like every one of my favorite scenes, but there's just another one where they all drop down to stop the Wrecker from kidnapping a girl and getting his crowbar back, and they're all like Wolverine, Luke Cage, Spider-Man. They're all in these poses, and Spider-Man's in the back on a plane going, "Wow, you guys are all so good at posing." It's just I couldn't help but laugh. But yeah, it's just kind of all this like Marvel stuff that I've been anything that's not DC really that I've been reading recently. It's just kind of like torn me away from DC, because whereas DC you've got Batman and Superman, in my opinion. So, and that's what they push. Whereas Marvel push their entire world. You've got the Avengers. You've got your capes, yada yada. Your superhero team. You've got your individual books. So, like Spider-Man, Deadpool, Captain America. You've got the X-Men. So you've got your whole like X-Men title as well. If you ever get bored of the other stuff, then you've got Marvel space stuff, which leads into Guardians of the Galaxy, and I just think they handle big events a lot better, other than Age of Ultron, which I didn't really enjoy. But all of their other stuff is just, I'm really enjoying it at the moment, and I think the only DC title I'm going to now just pick up is just Batman, just purely only because I like Batman. So,
Lucas, did you try Batman Superman?
Yeah, I really, really loved that though.
That's great.
I really enjoyed Batman Superman. I kind of had no idea what was going on story-wise when I was reading it. But, I thought Batman Superman was really good. The thing that pardon?
Sorry, I was going to say, you're not getting any of the other Bat titles?
I was picking up Batman the Dark Knight and Batman Detective Comics as well, but I just kind of stopped. After Death of the Family, I was like, I don't want to pick these up anymore. I really didn't like the first 6 issues of Batman the Dark Knight either, with the White Rabbit character.
I didn't really read any of them. I read a few issues of Batwing, but I just wondered if, since you like Batman and that, as you say, DC do seem to be pushing Batman and Superman.
Yeah.
Mostly Batman. They're certainly not doing enough good with the Superman titles, I don't think, but we all know my opinion on that.
Yeah. And the problem with Batman the Dark Knight as well is it's basically the first 6-7 issues were basically the plot to Batman Arkham Asylum, the video game, which was a bunch of guys get jacked up on some kind of super venom. Right. So it's just an excuse for Batman to get beaten up a bit by it, and then he solves everything at the end, of course, by just doing what he normally does, which is by being Batman.
Which is why I don't really like Batman, because he just wins because he's Batman, and that's just not interesting to me. But
yeah, there are a lot of people winning the DC universe. Like Superman wins because he's Superman.
Yeah, he pushes through it because he's only ever as strong as he needs to be. Batman wins because he, even if he didn't plan for it, he can think about, he's got some kind of plan for whatever eventuality.
Yeah, it's the alpha mailing of Batman that I really don't like, and it seems to be, he's a case of he's human, but he can just do whatever you put to him, and there's not enough explanation, or there's not enough reason for it for me, and I just don't like it.
Yeah. But otherwise, the Batman and Superman thing, the one thing I have got to praise the most about it is the art. I absolutely love the art in it. I haven't got the issue to hand. So Jay Lee. Okay, right, there we go. Jay Lee. That art, throughout the whole thing was great. So, whereas I had no idea what the story was, I just couldn't help but kind of just stare at each panel.
Have you read any of the older Superman Batman ones, pre-52?
No, I haven't. I've wanted to, but I've been reading loads and loads of Marvel, older Marvel stuff at the moment, so I've just kind of haven't really had the time for it. Yeah, that's pretty much me for the week.
I've got a little side book that I forgot to talk about, and it's a big deal to me. It's Avengers AI.
Oh, I didn't pick that up, but I wanted to. I
actually
about it.
I didn't even realise until I saw Fee on Saturday and she told me it was out. Completely forgot it was out like a doofus. The premise of it is after the events of Age of Ultron, the virus that Hank Pym created to take down Ultron has evolved, and because it can repair itself and program so quickly, it just evolved really quickly into something called Demetrius, I do believe. And so S.H.I.E.L.D. has put together a team. In this issue anyway, they've put together a team. They're questioning Hank Pym on it and accusing him kind of being the one, because he created it, because he's got his fingerprints on. They're actually saying he's the one that has done this, because this virus is taking drones from US military and attacking US soil with it. So the beginning of the issue is just them sort of questioning Hank Pym, and Hank Pym, joking. He seems a bit jokey in this issue. Normally Hank Pym's kind of does now and then a bit of sarcasm, but he's not normally so jokey. But in this, he seemed a bit cocksure of himself and a bit, happy, which is actually quite nice.
He just beat Ultron, so
yeah, exactly. It did seem to fit in this new sort of turn of the leaf of Hank Pym. It did seem nice for him to be a bit more happy. There's actually a really cool scene where he just he's had enough of this questioning and being made into a prisoner, so he just grows really big. I mean, he's then instantly shot down and zapped, but it's still nice for him to go, F this. But anyway, so Hank Pym puts together a team of his own using the Vision, who I actually forgot about the Vision being in Age of Ultron, but in this issue it's picked up that he's orbiting the sun, and he's being manipulated by the programming that Ultron had in him. So he's sort of repairing himself and fixing himself, and he's basically said that he's meditating. So he's brought into the team. You got Victor from the Runaways, Ultron's cyborg son. It's actually quite cool because they actually acknowledged that him and Vision are brothers. And I can't wait to explore that more, that Hank Pym has all these grandkids. And my most favourite member of this team, Doombot.
Doombot.
There is so many good lines. There's a bit where Hank Pym's just saying, he works for me, and he goes, isn't that right, Doombot? He goes, he basically just says like he wants to squash the freedoms of Hank Pym beneath his boot, and there's a bit where he's declaring his superiority over these drones and over everyone while taking them down, just slapping them down. So brilliant. And you've got this stoic Vision that bounces right off him. He's making jokes now and then, but he's so stoic. It really has a nice contrast between over-the-top arrogance Doombot and jokey anime Victor, who keeps shouting names out of he keeps calling himself silly names like Devil Slayer, and he'll shout out an attack like anime style before he does it. It is really funny. Just so you know, the team is Sam Humphries and goddamn names, the artist who did the Age of Ultron 10 AI issue. Really beautiful art. Someone please pronounce it for me, because I'm an idiot.
Oh God, I can't.
I apologise. I apologise. I'll say it next week. I'll say it multiple times next week. But anyway, it's really cool. The issue leaves off with a lady who, I'm guessing she's cyborg because of that classic squared box of cyborg speech. But she's floating in a bed saying Demetrius is coming. And she's just floating there in this weird costume. Kind of a good mystery. I'm more into the team dynamic possibilities than I am the mystery at the minute. Next issue looks like the old 1999/early 2000s Iron Man suit is coming out of a grave, which looks bloody brilliant because I remember that suit actually came alive at one point and attacked Iron Man. But yeah, Vision is badass. This new design looks really good, and he's got a couple new powers. And seeing him orbit in the sun fighting this program was really cool. Just really good. I really recommend this thing. Sam Humphries, if you don't know, is Uncanny X-Force. Spoke about his weird storylines last week of multiple Phantom X, magic masturbating. So this is going to be really good. Based on magic masturbating, robots are going to be really, really good.
I'm sold.
Yes. So yeah, we took a trip down to London Film Comic Con on a lovely, hot, sweaty day to see the stars and the cosplayers and the comic books. And I actually really enjoyed myself, guys. Lucas and Fee, chime in on me. What was your impressions of this con?
It was really, 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 really hot.
Really hot. Thank God it was air-conned compared to last time we all went together.
No, I got a bit when we got there, the amount of people outside in the heat, I felt so sorry for them, and I thought it was going to be boiling inside. But then when we got inside, I was like, wow, this is really nice in here. Lots of famous faces around.
Lots of famous faces. Just to name a few, there was Danny Glover, there was Peter Mayhew.
He's too old for this shit.
He was way too old for this shit. Peter Mayhew. I'm going to
Chewbacca from Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm going to butcher some of these Game of Thrones names, so if anyone wants, I'm just going to tell you their characters, or my code for their characters. Okay, guys, you ready for this? So Cersei Lannister, or Baratheon, whatever. Man from Skins / Blacksmith's son.
Gendry.
There you go, thanks Lucas. Big Conan the Barbarian guy.
Khal Drogo.
There we go. And Peter Dinklage was there.
Who is Tyrion. Tyrion Lannister.
Yeah, so, and David Hasselhoff was there. As soon as we walk in, who do we see straight away, 5 feet away from us?
David Hasselhoff giving everybody high fives and hugs in front of the
Ghostbusters car.
Did you guys get a hug?
No.
I felt more comfortable not getting a hug.
Bert was too intimidated. He saw him and Bert ran away crying.
I did.
Oh.
I couldn't handle the Hoff. But no, yeah. Fee, you chime in, unless you cut out.
Yeah, no, I'm here. It was, like Lucas said, it was hot, but it wasn't as hot as MCM, because, which MCM we went to a few weeks ago, the MCM Expo, which again was a really hot day, but there were so many people in there, and there was no air conditioning or anything, and it was just horrific. But yeah, this was much better. It was a lot more spaced out. I have to say, I've got to mention that in terms of organisation, they were terribly organised when it came to press. So we were down as press, and when we went to go and collect our press passes, they'd actually run out of press passes and scribbled on a piece of paper for us, which was not the most professional thing in the world. But but it was well organised other than that. Loads of comic creators. The comic section is definitely better than MCM Expo.
Oh yeah, miles better.
Yeah. Some really good people there. Some of the people that we met some of the comic people that we met, as I mentioned earlier on, Cy Spurrier, X-Men Legacy, and Six Gun Gorilla. We had a nice chat with him really nice guy. We had a nice chat with him about both X-Men Legacy and Six Gun Gorilla. Actually, I really recommend Six Gun Gorilla. I might talk about that a little bit when the second issue comes out, because I've got quite a lot to say about it. And he gave us a little bit of news, didn't he, Bertie? Sort of like a...
He did, but I'm scared of saying it just in case we get hunted down by a Marvel Black Ops.
He couldn't actually tell us, so...
No, but it was a hint at something that he looked at what we was talking to him about something. He looked over to it and said it, but then instantly sort of carried on talking about something else. So I'm a bit worried saying it out loud, but he did actually give us a bit of gossip. Tiny little bit.
I won't say what it is then, but just in case we get,
shot by Joe Quesada.
Yeah. But he just dropped a little hint at that he might be writing some other characters that maybe he's written before at some point. So that sounded quite cool.
Dun, dun, dun.
And we also met David Hine, who
really nice guy.
Yeah, he was a very nice guy. I ended up buying the first trade of the Bulletproof Coffin from him, which I didn't know too much about. I know, Bertie, you knew a little bit about it, but David explained a lot of it to me and sold it to me really well. It sounded really interesting. I said to him, "Oh, that sounds quite postmodern," and he said it was meta. So I quite like a bit of meta. So I'll be looking forward to reading that. I might talk a little bit about it once I've read it. And we checked in with Andy Clift, who wrote Bertie Bear, which we reviewed on the show a few weeks ago. It was really nice to catch up with Andy, and also his friend John Scrivens, and we picked up the first 2 issues of his creator-owned comic Little Terrors. So we'll bring you some more news about Little Terrors once we've all caught up with that. And who else was there, guys?
There was loads. There was Alan Davis. He was there. Brilliant, Alan Davis. There was Neil Adams there. Unfortunately, we didn't get too close to Neil Adams because there was a massive line for Neil Adams.
Yeah, and he's charging a fortune as well for his sketches and signatures and prints and stuff. And Adi Granov was there.
Yes, another one who had a fairly ginormous line. Once he had loads of posters around him for the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff, and that just attracted so many people. Like Angela poster, Guardians of the Galaxy poster, and obviously the Extremist hardcovers. There's so many. I actually really enjoyed this comics. Compared to MCM, this comics it wasn't even a corner this time.
It was a section. It was about half of the venue.
Yeah, it was, and it was even broke down quite nicely into there was an indie side and a more mainstream side that was really nicely well done. Really, I've got to admit, this, apart from the whole press mix-up, there was a real nice organisation and flow to the whole con.
There was a few really, really good cosplayers there as well.
Untold, and for the first time ever, I saw an Ant-Man one.
Oh, really? I didn't. Yeah. I must have missed that.
With a full lighting up helmet and everything. I actually forgot to ask them where they had got the helmet from. So really well done.
I've got a few favourite cosplays I saw, but I think the standout kind of best one that I saw was the Tim Burton Batman film, Batman Returns, Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman. There was this poor lady outside in this full latex kind of Catwoman outfit that looked really well done, and down to the Catwoman bladey things on the fingers, the claws. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Claws. Right. Yeah. No, but I felt so sorry for her. She was getting pictures with everybody, but it was so well done.
Yeah, and it was 30 degrees out there, and she's wearing this PVC full body.
Yeah, just fully, but really well done. There was also like, not maybe as much effort put into it, more or so kind of maybe just bought off the internet, but there was this really, really good kind of Dark Knight style Batman there as well. He really did look the part.
Yeah, he was good. I also saw, I didn't actually see him at the con, but I saw somebody post a picture up afterwards of a Robin, and it was really, really, really good. And I wish I'd actually seen him, you know, like in person, but the picture of his costume was fantastic. He would have looked great standing next to that Dark Knight Batman.
There was
Robin was it?
I don't know what the difference.
What was his costume?
Well, he had like a cape and a mask, and he did have sort of like the red and yellow tunic and stuff, but
short pants, or was it full
I
length?
don't think so. I think he had trousers on, I'm pretty sure.
I think that might have been the Tim Drake Robin who was
might have been Tim Drake then, yeah. I don't really know my Robins, so.
I've got to say, there was a moment where we all left a con, we was burnt out, we was tired, and sitting on the wall was the best ever version of the Village People. There was Bane, Batman, Superman, and Ash from The Evil Dead. And they were just sitting there chilling out on the wall together. And we completely forgot to get a picture because we were just all really in awe. Dan noticed them and just pointed them out, and we was all just staring like, that's actually really cool. We stood there for a good minute or two. We had to have a little guess at the Ash one because obviously like Evil Dead's a bit more obscured compared to Batman, Superman and Bane. But it was a fun, nice little end of the day treat of the strangers. But I actually wish we had got them to do YMCA.
Yeah, no, all in all, it was a nice day out.
It was good. I'd recommend it actually. I think if people, and I'd definitely recommend it over MCM. Yeah, it's a better con altogether, I think, than MCM. I think the only thing that I didn't really like about it was the amount that they were charging for autographs and photos and things like that. I think we wanted to go along to one of the Game of Thrones panels, the talks, and press passes weren't valid. You still had to pay, and it was £25 just to go in and listen to a panel. And I think that's pretty steep. I mean, I can understand them charging sort of 25-30 quid to go and have your photo taken with somebody like Peter Dinklage to an extent, but to go and sit in a room and listen to a panel of people talking and pay £25 is a bit...
It was also kind of a bit cheap because they had the entire area open at first for people to just come sit down, and then they just kind of kicked everybody out and cordoned it off.
Yeah.
But I was tall enough to see the screen anyway, so I kind of hovered around a bit anyway.
Yeah, same here. We kind of cheated our way into that panel by just standing still because we're tall enough to look. There are ways you can cheat it. Like I'm going to be honest here, me and Lucas went to perv on Cersei Lannister. So we sort of went in from the side and we basically got close enough that we wanted to get close to just perv.
Bert was getting ready to kidnap her, but I told him that would be a bad idea.
Apparently they need to film another series of Game of Thrones and she's important, and I was like, no, and just whatever.
This is a true story, by the way, so, you know.
Let's make Bert look weird.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, it was good. We got some pictures just going to go up on our Facebook page of the con. We should have some pretty nice cosplaying ones. Took some random snaps within the chaos of the main the main aisle in the centre. But yeah, really good. Recommend it. If you're going to go to anyone based in London, well, this time of year anyway, it would always be that one over something like MCM. And our next con, just to let you know, would be Thought Bubble in November. Unless anything comes up in between, I can't think of anything. Thought Bubble will all be our next adventure.
So, Mystery Comics, I believe, is next.
It is time for the Mystery Comics, that time of the evening again.
I'll do some theme music, some mysterious theme music, so...
Go for it.
There we go.
Emmerdale.
It sounds like Emmerdale.
Okay, so our Mystery Comic music is Emmerdale.
Yep, there we go.
Right, okay, so this week's Mystery Comics, we had 3 again this week. It was Harbinger from Valiant Comics, Telos from Image Comics, and someone I forgot.
Ami Comic Girls.
Ami Comic Girls from DC Comics. Sorry. Okay. Sarah, I know you really enjoyed Ami Comic Girls, so why don't you start us off?
Yeah, Amy Comic Girls, issues 16 to 19 were the first set of mystery comics this week. This is a bit of an unusual series. It actually came about, inspired by a toy line that DC, can't remember how many years ago now, maybe 3 years ago, they started producing these anime manga inspired versions of their female superheroes, which mostly translated into big eyes and incredibly skimpy costumes. And they did this in a toy line. And then probably about a year ago, I think it was, they decided to turn it into a comic, which looked initially a bit like a bit of a leap of faith, but let's see what they do with it. And it turns out they created this world where all the heroes are female. There are men in the world, but just none of them are heroes. So you've got either female versions of all the male heroes, or you've got like the sidekicks being given a bigger role. So instead of a Superman, you've got a Power Girl, and then you've got a Supergirl as well. Instead of a Batman, you've got a Batgirl and a Robin. You've got a female Green Lantern. You've got a female Steel. All this sort of stuff. These issues looked at a sort of cross between a sort of Blackest Night and a Crisis on Infinite Earth sort of storyline, with female Sinestra deciding she was going to take over control the entire universe and destroy all life everywhere, I think was the point of it. I really enjoyed these issues. I think I find them a lot of fun. I know that they have attracted quite a lot of ire and criticism because of the skimpy costumes, but actually in the comics they're not all the characters have ridiculous costumes. Quite a few of them do, but some have more sensible ones as well. The series and these issues do play around quite a bit with regular DC continuity, and it just seems to be sort of fairly light-hearted, fun set of issues, which is able to laugh at itself. And I think with the fact that all the heroes are female, it gives a different perspective on the power relationships and that between all the characters. And it is just nice seeing someone like Power Girl being afforded the same respect that Superman is usually given. I really, really, really enjoyed this. I was really pleased when they were picked. I think they're great. I think more people should read them, and I wish the series was still ongoing now. Unfortunately, it's not, but never mind. Lucas, what did you think? Or Fee?
Well, I enjoyed the story. I mean, because I liked the whole the lantern kind of universe, and so rings and stuff. I was a bit kind of like, wait, what? When they all got given white power rings?
I like that.
No, it made sense, because if they're all going to be fighting, whatever, Sinestra, which is going to be strong, they need to give the non-powered characters like Batgirl and Robin a way of actually fighting them. But I was kind of like, for me, it came a bit kind of like out there. The thing I didn't really like about it was the style, the art style, because I'm not really big on the kind of an anime themed style. So I don't like wide eyes, stupidly skimpy outfits, and very well endowed ladies. So
the artwork has changed throughout the series. There has been different people doing it. So this one was a lot more sort of manga anime style, these issues. But yeah, it's not the same the entire way through. Just trying to convince you to read more.
Yeah, but other than that, I liked Sinestra. So the whole kind of, because Sinestro is one of my favourite DC villains. So female Sinestro is completely cool with me. Fee, what about you?
I don't think it will come as a surprise to anybody to hear that I hated it. I'm sorry, I just can't get past the artwork at all. The female Green Lantern and Power Girl have got like two massive space hoppers stuck to their chests, and I just couldn't get my eyes past that at all.
I know. I couldn't stop looking either.
Yeah, it's just. I'm sure you couldn't, but it's so distracting and so unnecessary, and I just didn't like it. And the story, I'm afraid, didn't engage me enough to be able to see past that. The only positive I have is like I did like the colouring, and that's all. That's it, really. But
okay.
Sorry.
So sorry, go on, Sarah.
I was going to say, in Power Girl's defence, she does always have a huge rack. and it is usually like the size of a head or bigger. So that's not just a this comic thing.
Yeah, but I've seen some other horrible renditions of Power Go as well, but this one is just yuck.
I didn't think you'd like it.
Yeah, no, it's not for me.
Okay, well, I really liked it. I do like Jimmy Palmiotti and Justin's Grave writing. I think they're fun and they know their stuff. Actually, my favourite out of what we read, the issue 19 was actually my favourite. Seeing the introduction of Raven. I'm not sure why I preferred this one, but I liked it. I kept doing this silly thing. Yeah, it was real fun, like the way she speaks and her inspiration to how she speaks and stuff, and seeing like Jessie Quick. I love the character Jessie Quick, and seeing her and a little bit of a perspective. But I kept doing this really silly thing where I kept reading it, and during this crisis that I was going through, I kept thinking to myself, "Man, they should get the dudes to back them up," and I kept doing it. I was like, "Oh no, we're in a different place." But not in a these women can't do it kind of way. Just in a they need more of them kind of way, which then made me think that DC need more women. I mean, I think there needs to be more women in characters, but it did make me think that this select number, I don't think is by choice of there being only a select few. I think is literally just because there isn't really that many. It made me think that something like this would actually be really good. I love seeing female Adam Strange. I hope no one does anything with her because I've got an idea in my head for a female Adam Strange story. But yeah, really enjoyed it. I don't mind City Windows. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just a man. I'm weak. But I like them. And I was actually really intrigued by this Robin. I actually thought for a minute, I remember speaking to you, Sarah, about this, I actually thought it was Harper Row.
Same.
Because of the hair. But it turns out to be
Carrie Kelly.
Carrie Kelly from Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
Returns, not Rises, that's the film. What an idiot. Okay. But yeah, really enjoyable. I do hope it comes back. It is a digital first, so it can't be putting DC too far out of pocket. You know, I'd happily have this instead of Arkham Unchained or Smallville Season 11.
I think it was in February where DC just put out a tweet saying AB Comic Girls is on hiatus until further notice, and that's been all that we've heard about it. There's been no other announcements. It's been sort of cancelled so low key. I'm hoping maybe that once all the hard copy issues are out, they'll see how those sell and then maybe bring them back. But even Jimmy Palmiotti and Justin Gray aren't saying anything about it, so it's just really disappointing. This for a long time with the New 52. The only things I was really enjoying DC was putting out was actually Amy Comic Girls and the Smallville comic. I didn't like any of the regular titles. So either that tells you about my tastes or about the state of the New 52. But, yeah, I want it back.
Yeah, it's definitely enjoyable. I'll recommend it. It's just fun. It's just a bit of fun. It's something that's not tied down by massive continuity and whatever, and it hasn't got that New 52 taste of disappointment.
I know that taste all too well.
You do.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Unless anyone else got anything to say, we should move on to the next one, which is one is Telos from Image Comics, a series created a little while ago. This actually holds quite close to my heart in sense of creators. The creators on it are Mike Waringo. I can't actually say that name properly. Mike Waringo. And 1 second, please, because I'm an idiot. I've put the comic away. What a douche. If anyone else would like to fill this airspace with some music or help, that would be really nice. Nope, I'll do it. Okay. Bloody thing. And Todd DeZargo. That's it. Okay, and this is set in it's a story that follows a boy and his tiger human man protector or companion. It's set in this really beautiful fantasy world of Telos. And it's so vibrant. It's like kind of like a medievally sword and sorcery kind of base, with humans and fairies and giants and stuff. And it follows these two companions, this kid and this tiger man, who are on the run from some it actually opens them on the run from some mysterious force, and then it's revealed that it's frog guards being chased for being thieves and just naughty people. And as the story goes on, it's unravelled that they bump into this pirate queen lady, and she has an amulet, and when the kid goes near the gate, unlocks a power, and it's revealed that someone wants this power and the kid to fulfill something where they can do the classic evil villain stuff where they have telos for themselves and they can rule the world. And it's this really, really well told madcap adventure, you know, that kind of old swashbuckly, beautiful landscapes and environments and strange lands with such really well crafted characters. I love the art. Michael Ringo, if you don't know, he's an artist who passed away some time ago now. He's really famous for doing Telos, and also he did Fantastic Four, the one that stands out for me anyway, Fantastic Four with Mark Waid, and he just was so amazing. He'd done such a good run on that. And this, guys, you could chime in any time because I am rambling a bit, but it's so beautiful. I mean, the writing is really good, the dialogue and the plots are really good, but you just get lost in this beautiful world that is drawn. It's kind of got like a cartoony, again, big-eyed anime kind of look, or manga or whatever, but it's so nice.
I was going to say, I think when I was reading it, I was thinking to myself, it looks like it would make a good kind of like cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it reminded me of cartoon. I mean, I don't like. Do you guys know? You're probably too young to remember things like Cities of Gold.
I didn't watch it, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, but it kind of reminded me of that. Yeah, I mean, it's not my usual kind of thing. It's not something that I would, you know, necessarily go out and pick up and spend my money on. But I did enjoy it. And in a way, it kind of not reminding me of it because the story's not in any way the same, but like I was sort of thinking back to Princeless and stuff in terms of like all ages.
Yes.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like that kind of like evoke the same sort of like sense and feel as Jeremy Whitley's Princeless.
I'm not sure I read the same comic you guys did because I didn't get that feeling from it at all. Maybe, I don't know, I was out in the sun and trying to enjoy it in the sun and it was too distracted by the sun, but I just felt nothing for it at all. I just found it really like boring and juvenile, and I'm interested by what you guys are saying because I didn't get any of that sense at all from it. Maybe I should go and have another look at it, and I probably will do since you guys already liked it, but yeah, I'm not keen at all in any way.
Well, you know, it's from 1999, and for me, just real quick, it does have that sort of sense of, I'm a 90s kid, I know all these cool cartoons, I call them cool anyway, people older or younger would be like, oh, rubbish, they're poop. But it does have that feel of those really cool, awesome cartoons I used to read. But okay, Lucas, where are you? Where are you gone?
Yeah, no, like I said, I think, honestly, I wasn't really that interested in it, as in the story just kind of, it wasn't anything new. You said it was from, when did you say it came out?
1999.
Yeah, it feels like, reading it now, kind of like, I just found it a bit boring. The art, like, I really did like it, I thought it was vibrant, you know, I liked the style, it wasn't too anime-ish, but it was good. I never really liked, like, animal characters. It's not that I don't like animals, it's that I don't know, I've just never really got along with, like, you know, tiger people and stuff like that. That being said, however, I really loved the Frog Soldiers. I thought they was great.
Yes.
They were absolutely amazing. Just, at first I thought that whoever was writing it, couldn't spell certain things, and I was like, oh wait. Yeah, I know, right?
What?
Yeah. And I was like, Frog Soldiers, and I was like, I have no idea how a frog would sound if it was speaking English, so there we go. But other than that, I found it just a bit boring and a bit kind of like, nah. You know, I've read this like 100 times over and seen it 100 times over on a cartoon, but I think if it was a cartoon that had come out like a few years ago, I'd probably watch it. But I wouldn't want to read anymore. If that makes sense.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. I understand that. I mean, I think for me, because, you know, again, it's kind of tied. It's all like the world that Mike Wieringo drew and created that I get pulled into. Because unlike you, Lucas, I love the humanoid animals and like Tiger Man and lizard people and anything like that. There's a one page sort of, a giant panel basically. It's not really a page, but it's half page of this giant that is woken up by the frogmen. The tiger gets him to attack this pillar, which just turns out to be the foot of a giant. And the giant goes a bit mental and just decides to F some S up. You know, and I just thought it's really, really just enjoyable, but I can see where people wouldn't like it. Okay, so that's that done. It's over. Telos is, fine. You guys broke my heart. But now we're on to the last mystery comic, and as I said earlier, we got a Valiant comic. And this is Harbinger. Now, Harbinger is done from Valiant, a new line. I'm going to quickly let you know, with the whole Valiant line, I didn't read any prior Valiant stuff, so I came into everything completely unknown. Had no idea what the characters are about, especially Harbinger. But it turns out Harbinger is... guys, you still there? Because you've all gone really silent.
Yep, still here.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry, right. So Harbinger is a character it's a story about a boy who has these mental powers. Like he can...
Psionic powers, doesn't it?
Psionic powers, yeah. It's like next level telepathic and telekinetic and whatever. And he's living on the lam with his psychotic mate, going from town to town, hiding, because it turns out they've done some not very good stuff, like they've robbed pharmacies to get drugs to stop the voices in their heads and whatnot. And then he gets picked up by this leader of this corporation named Toyo Harada.
Harada, yeah.
Yeah, so he's got this corporation, which is like this massive corporation that runs economies and helps the world, but under the surface of it, he trains other psionic powered people to use their powers to better their powers and make the world a better place. But there's a twist to it. The twist is that this Toyo Harada goes into secret meetings with someone called the Bleeding Monk, and the Bleeding Monk has visions that this kid, Peter Stanchek, is going to be some kind of destroyer of the world. And he's going to, there's an image where New York or a city's in ruins and he's running away from it all. And it started really well. I've been doing a Valiant catch-up, and for me it started really well, but it's sort of, where everything else in Valiant's gotten better and better, this has just gone down for me. I think maybe it's because they started driving towards something called the Harbinger War, and that's where it started losing what made it good. But for me, it started strong, but I just lost it, I think. I'm not really too keen on it now. What did you guys think?
I really enjoyed it. I just, I like kind of like superhero tale, like power tale, like people with powers, kind of like in a kind of like a real world almost kind of like scenario, kind of things like that. And I really enjoyed it. I liked the kid. I thought it was good. I liked his friend, how he just kind of was a complete and utter idiot. Not his fault, of course. He was I think he had like personality disorders and was schizophrenic, and seemed to think he had powers, but I'm not sure if he actually does or doesn't. But I found the story really interesting. I loved the art. Because you just said you said you didn't like it after the first few issues, I'm a bit bummed out now.
No, I think
I only
other
read the
people
first
enjoy
issue.
it, I think people will enjoy it. Just for me personally, I think I was basing it on other Valiant stuff, because they were going up.
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure if I'm 100% correct on this, but it takes place in the same world as like a few of Valiant's kind of like other characters, like there was this Bloodshot.
Yeah, all Valiant, every Valiant book is tied in. They're all shared universe.
Yeah, because I really like Bloodshot, so I'll probably read more of Harbinger, but I only read the first issue, but really enjoyed it. Okay.
Fee?
Yeah, I really liked it. I didn't realise it was a reboot of, of a comic that has been before. I didn't really know anything about Valiant's history or any of their previous stuff. And I didn't realise that the first series, the initial series, was written and drawn by Jim Shooter. and then they tried to. I think they rebooted it again in the mid-90s or something, and then this series started last year, 2012. Oh no, it was 2008. They did another collection or something, and so this started 2012. I've read the first 4, and I really, really liked it, and I'd like to read the rest of it. So again, I'm a bit disappointed to hear you say, Bertie, that you think it's gone down a little bit, because I think it started really strong. I really like the characters. I'm really, really, I've really bought into the story. I really want to know what happens to Peter Stanchek, and what's going to happen in the future. I think the characterization is really strong. I think the dialogue's really nice and tight. I like the artwork. So I'm definitely going to catch up. Does anybody know what the latest issue is? Are we on like 12 or something?
I do believe it's 12. I'm not actually 100% sure at the minute. Okay. I'll find out while you talk.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 12 is the most recent issue. So I've still got a few to go to catch up with the story. But I definitely will read the rest of it, because for me these first 4 issues are a really, really strong start. I think it's that idea of, if you have this power, a really strong sort of like unchecked power, and what you would do with it. And it's interesting to see in the first issue where Peter is faced with a sort of, should he use his power for good, or is he going to use it to get his own way, which he does with the character of Chris, who's a girl that he grew up with they grew up on the same street, and he hasn't seen for a few years. And he goes back to see her because she reminds him of a time when he was happy and when he enjoyed being in her company. And he uses his powers to do something, to manipulate her into having feelings for him. And that's a really kind of like dark, what happens then between the two of them is a really dark thing, and has actually gone into quite a dark place. And I quite enjoyed seeing that, in terms of, that I'd like to then see where it goes even further. Because if you think that Peter's capable of doing something like that at this point, then, what's going to happen in the future. So, I think it's a really good story.
Real quick, it's at 13 issues, but there is a 0 issue. I wasn't actually aware of the 0 issue. There's a 0 issue, and 13 is the latest. Okay.
So, Sarah, what did you think?
Again, I'm in opposition with you guys. Again, I really didn't enjoy it at all. I didn't like the art. I didn't particularly care for the characters. I just didn't think it was particularly strong at all. There were bits of it that threw me out. So the bit in the first, I did read the first 5 issues, I think it was, that we had. The bit we're talking about, Peter was getting the medication for his mate, and I read it and I'm thinking, if you've got a severe mental health problem like this personality disorder or schizophrenic tendencies or whatever, you can't just take whatever medication you find in the shop. And if these guys have been in an institution for 10 years, they know this. You'd have known there'd be no point in getting this wrong sort of medication. And then there's stuff like, if you stop taking medication, it doesn't necessarily have an immediate effect, or if you start taking it, it doesn't have an immediate effect. Things like that just annoy the hell out of me. So that threw me out. There's this mix of the mysticism and the modern stuff. We talked about the bleeding monk, and also about the corporation which took Peter Stanchek in. That just isn't something that's for me. I found it quite heavy-handed, and I didn't have any way there's nothing about it that made me connect or want to read more. But my main beef about it was, I thought, if you want to take a load of kids with some sort of powers, and you want to bring them into a secret school that nobody knows where they're there, and train them in how to use their powers for the good of humanity, I really would rather just read the X-Men. I find that the X-Men a lot more interesting. They've got more engaging characters. It's visually nicer to look at. They've got more interesting powers. There is no way I'd go and read something like Harbinger. It just seemed like a bit of a third-rate, darker, more modern knockoff, and really not for me at all. But I did try it, but no, not for me.
Okay. Yeah. That's fair enough. I would recommend to listeners that if you're going to read them, points are all varied. Read them yourselves. Go out and read these books, and you tell us what you actually think. Let us know. I love it when our discussion is all like over the place, where it's sort of torn between, you know. Makes for good podding.
Yeah.
Alright, okay. I do believe that's everything for this week. But Sarah, you've got a special something for us.
We do. We've got a special announcement for the listeners. We're going to be starting our own mystery comics competition. So what will happen if you guys want to win a comic from one of our collections? It might be new, could be old, might be physical, might be digital, could be anything really. Just contact us on either our Facebook page, which is BAMF Comic Book Radio, or on our Twitter at Radio BAMF, or you can write in the comments of the show on wearearcade.com, or you can email us on radiobamf@gmail.com. So you've got lots of options, no reason not to do this. Write in, tell us your superhero name and power. We'll pick what we think are the best ones, whether that be most imaginative, coolest, best power, you know, what we think, and then we'll let you guys know on the show next week who's won it, and then we'll get something sent out to you. Anyone who's listening to this for a while will know that we've obviously got a hugely different range of tastes, so you could end up with anything, which I think is probably a good thing. Hopefully it won't be a bad thing.
Okay, that brings us to the end of the show. Don't forget you can go to iTunes, subscribe to us, write a review, or we're on YouTube, leave comments, tell your friends. Go to our website, wearearcade.com, Twitter and Facebook, BAMF Comic Book Radio. Talk to us, let us know what you think of this week's comics, your favourite comics, your competition ideas. If you've been to London Film Con, let us know. And that is it. We're all going to sign off and say goodbye. I'm saying goodbye, guys. Say goodbye.
See you later.
Bye, but our Twitter is Radio BAMF.
There you go. Thanks, V. Right, yeah. Okay, see you later, guys.
Bye.
www.wearearcade.com